My name is Audu and I'm from Nigeria, originally from Nigeria. Back home in Nigeria, I was working in the health sector. I was a public health advocate and a community organizer working in the HIV field, providing services for most at-risk population, gay men, sex workers, and drug users. So this were the major group that I was providing services for. At the time when I decided to leave, the Nigerian government had just passed a law that criminalized same-sex marriage, and by extension, organizations providing services for men who have sex with men or gay people. And to us in the HIV, world, like I said, as a public health advocate, providing services for gay men, sex workers, and drug users, that became a very big challenge for us, because if there is a law that criminalizes what you do, then how do you do your work? When we went to the National Assembly in 2011 to present the position paper on why the government should decriminalize organizations who are providing services for gay men, we faced a lot of challenges. And to me, it's just pure ignorance on the part of our government, who do not understand anything about sexuality. So immediately the law was passed, because we had this program on ground, we had the links with the community to report issues. Under 24 hours, we had over 15 cases of attacks. And within a week, within 3 days, a group came up and called themselves anti-gay crusaders, and they were going after gay men. And we have a cluster of our clients within a particular village, and they went to this place and attacked these people. For me, I didn't see it as, I believe I was a fighter, but the moment I started receiving threats, I felt I had to, exceed the stage for now until I'm able to, get myself together. Because at that point, it was overwhelming. I was thinking about my family, I was thinking about my children, I was thinking about my, my job, what's going to happen. When my life became, in danger, I'm like, I started reaching out to friends that I know. And because I had a valid US visa, I decided to come to the US until, the situation calms down. But unfortunately, as I speak with you, the situation is not yet calm. Instead, it's even escalating. Well, like I said, the moment I realized, or I decided that I had to leave, was when I started, receiving threats. Initially, it was verbal threats, in a meeting, somebody telling me, why would I be supporting gay people? Why would I be supporting something that is not our culture? I didn't pay any mind to that. But the moment when I started feeling that people were trailing me, because in 2013, the law was passed in 2014, January 7th, and by 14th, it was in the news. So in 2013, I attended a conference where I really spoke out about the lip service the government pays to HIV services, talking about services you are not even providing. So I was able to speak to that, challenge the presenter at that time, to let them know, no, this is not happening. And that was a moment I didn't know would come and haunt me later, So after the law was passed, I closed from work and I was going home. I saw people, trailing me, pointing at me, people I don't know. And because at that time, the atmosphere was already tensed, I was afraid. If it was, you know, if it was a moment that was nothing was happening, maybe I wouldn't feel the way I felt at that time. But because I knew a law was just passed and my work was criminalized, and I had attended some meetings where I spoke out, and I'm seeing people pointing at me that I didn't know, But on this particular occasion, one of these guys that was pointing at me, I was able to, kind of vaguely identify the person from the conference I had attended a year before the law was passed. So that created, this fear in me that, wow, I'm not even safe. I can't even, go anywhere without being afraid. And you can't live that way. Wow. That's one moment I always try to forget, but it was a very emotional moment for me. Like I said, I'm married. I have 2 kids. My first daughter will be 8 years next year, and the second one will be 6. She was just 5 this year. And as at the time when I left, the little one was a year and like 3 months, And this somebody, my baby that I was just trying to get, attached to. And she doesn't even sleep without being on my chest. The day I was leaving, she was taking off my chest. That was a moment, I really don't know how to explain it. I had to leave in the middle of the night. And when I was leaving, I didn't, all I was thinking of was what's going to happen to me. I didn't know where I was going to. I knew I was coming to the US, but I didn't know who I was coming to meet. I don't have any family here. Who is the family I'm going to meet? But on the lighter mood, my first 2 previous trip to the US was in summer. The first one was in May. The second time was in July. But this time it was in February, the middle of winter. And I didn't even realize that. Like I told you, how would you be thinking of your family's safety and all that, and you even think of weather? I didn't even care what the weather was at that time. Not until I got to JFK. Was it JFK or LaGuardia? Yeah, it was LaGuardia. No. Newark. It was in Newark. I landed in Newark. That was in New Jersey. As our plane was descending, it was in the afternoon. I saw, snow. I didn't even know it was snow. I thought it was sand. To me, it was sand. I'm like, wow, a lot of white sand, because we have beaches in Nigeria. So I was thinking, oh, white sand you see in the beach. So when we touched down, I saw that, no, this is not sand. This looks like more like ice. And I'm like, wow, this is snow. Even at that time, at that moment, I didn't even know it was going to be cold outside. All I just knew was we see snow on TV. I don't know if it's going to be cold. So when I got out of the airport and the breeze, the cold hit me, that's when I knew, wow. I ran back into the airport. I couldn't stand it. The first few weeks, because when I came here, I had little expectation. My plan at that time was to find somewhere to relax and, get my mind off the dangers and threats, and try and, come up with something, if there is anything I can come up with, to address the issue that's on ground. But that was a very big task, because it is not an easy thing to, make a change whereby a law has been passed. So my first few days here, I was still trying to figure out, what do I want to do now? I was actually very, I won't say I was confused, but I didn't know the next step to take. There was a lot of things in my mind. I didn't know where to start first. What is the first thing I need to do? But I knew what I wanted. And when I got here, I was introduced to the asylum project. They told me, okay, uh, because you can't live in this country without having a status, and if you must have a status, since this was happening, you are eligible for this relief, which is asylum. I'm like, okay, and they put me through the process, and they found me an attorney that will help me. Well, applying for asylum here, the process is long. The process is long, and sometimes it takes its toll on applicants because of the long process. From what we heard, normally if you apply for asylum like any other humanitarian relief is provided for people who are facing persecutions in their country of origin, and it's an international treaty that the U.S. government signed on to protect people who are facing persecution or whose life is in danger in their country, to protect them. So that's asylum. So coming here, if you seek asylum, you are supposed to seek asylum within the first year, within 1 year that you get here. You must declare your intention to seek asylum if you want to seek asylum. Then after applying for asylum, you are supposed to get called for interview within 45 days. But when I came in February, because of backlog, a lot of people have applied, because in 2014 and just 2014 alone, 2 African countries passed laws that criminalized same-sex marriage and people working with gay men, which is Nigeria and Uganda. Some other countries followed suit, and that's led to a large influx of people coming to the U.S. to seek asylum. Now that alone, I think in 2016 or 15, over 30,000 people applied for asylum, and this further created the backlog. So it takes between 6 months and 2 years for you to get called for interview right now. For me, it took 2 years and about 3 months. I filed in 2015 February, and I was called for interview in April 2017. And during this period, the challenge is you cannot work. As an asylum seeker, you don't have status, you cannot work, and you don't have any form of support from the government. It's a very long process, very frustrating process, I must say, and I think asylum seekers need more support to be able to go through this process. In general, as a human, it doesn't matter your color, it doesn't matter your religion, it doesn't matter your creed, it doesn't matter your sexuality, it doesn't matter your sex, it doesn't matter who you are. As long as you are a human being, you have rights as a human being. So that's the first thing people must know. So when we now talk about human rights generally, it's just the right to respect human dignity in all forms. Just respect.